Pause. No, but no. I like being in front of the little YouTube poster. Makes it feel official. Arrigame. Let me stop. I'm just playing. Just playing. All right. Now it feels official, right? Get this chat filter. All right. Chat filters on so I could, and let me make sure the live is public because every once in a while, like I said, I'll do something and it'll mess up things up and I won't realize until like half an hour in. I'm like, oh my bad. I was like, I'm talking to myself because people can't even get on because it's not public or it's set to kids. um, um, let me check here live. Okay, yeah, it's live. It's so people should be able to see it. Uh, but if no one appears, I will be out and go fix me something to eat. um, but I guess people are starting to filter into the chat room, so that's what's up. Um, and of course, the topic is that celebrities are insufferable, and they are. I remember like I remember like 25 years ago thinking the creators of South Park, Matt Parker and Trey Stone, were just mean because they disliked celebrities. But I realized they had a point for why they didn't like them. Put on my reading glasses here. Uh, so, what's up to everyone in the chat room? My name is Just A Contrarian. The topic is celebrities are insufferable. So, feel free to leave comments in the chat room about what you think about celebrities, whether positive or negative, or if you have specific people you dislike or you do like, or any personal experiences you've had with celebrities. I'm sure we've all had a run-in with a celebrity once or twice. Um, but yeah, and when I say celebrity, it doesn't have to be like an A-lister. So, um, Liam says, "Do you watch football?" No, I could care less about football. Not to knock sports fans, but I don't see how people get caught up in sports. Like, I don't I don't get aroused. I don't get any arousal from seeing people win something that I don't get to partake in. Like I don't if someone wins the Super Bowl, I don't get money, so I don't care. Well, I guess unless you bet, I guess unless you're doing sports betting, then I guess you would get money if you pick the winning team. But aside from sports betting, I mean I don't win any money if some team wins. So I've played 5 different sports. That's cool. But anyway, this isn't a sports discussion, so I would steer it towards that. I'm just talking about celebrities are insufferable because we just had the Grammy Awards, and you had all these annoying left wing celebrities, you know, like Billie Eilish, uh, talking about um, no one's illegal on stolen land, while the bitch has a $14 million mansion built on stolen land from the Yangva Native American tribe. Didn't bother to reach out to them and be like, hey, since I am on your land, how about I how about I at least compensate you guys? Or hey, since no one's illegal in this country, how about in my $14 million mansion, I'll house some of these undocumented migrants. Besides that, yes, there are illegal people because calling someone an illegal alien is a legal term, not a it's not a it's not a term of their nationality or race. It's a legal term. It's just like saying someone is insane. Insanity is not a insanity is not a description in psychology. That's a legal term. Like we don't call people insane in psychology. So same thing. It's a legal term. Thank you for the gift sent by Super. Thank you for the gift. Actually, I'm gonna set a goal. Let me try to get 10 gifts for today. And if so, I'll teach a martial arts technique. Boom. But yeah. And then you had Trevor Noah talking all this trash. He's not funny. Trevor Noah is the reason I stopped watching the Daily Show like 5 years ago because he's not funny. And like at least the Daily Show used to take shots at both the right and the left when it was under Jon Stewart back in the day. But under Trevor Noah, it just became like this. It just became this leftist cheerleading show. What's up, Jr? Um, so Trevor Noah's been rather insufferable to me as well, and he's not funny. And he looks dirty with that little dumbass mustache and dirty ass goatee. Like he looked good. Anyway, he gets away with it because he's biracial. So he a regular black person would look like a bum if they kept their face unkempt like he does. Then you have all these people complaining about ICE and MAGA. Like, just accept your board and shut the fuck up and keep it moving. No one needs to hear you. No one needs to hear some pampered, privileged celebrity who gets paid millions of dollars for make believe, for, 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 for playing make believe, or singing, or throwing a ball, tell regular people what they should think and whom they should vote for. Like, shut up. The era of Hollywood from decades past seems to have a more royal mystique about them. And that's largely because they kept themselves more detached from the public than current celebrities. Current celebrities are constantly on Instagram showing um, basically flashing their wealth um, while also talking down to people on politics. It's like, what? Like, granted, I'm a content creator, so that makes me a public figure by default. But I've only got 2,000 subs. I'm not like a public figure. I am a content creator, but I don't consider myself a public figure with 2,000 with 2,000 followers. Like, come on. I mean, you guys can sub and get me to 10,000. That would be what's up. However, um, yeah, unless you like unless you crushing it with like over a million subs or whatever, like you're not really an influencer or anything like that. But my point being is that as a content creator, like I like I do social critiques. That's what I do. But if I were a like mainstream celebrity who makes their money through entertainment as an actor or singer or athlete, I would shut the fuck up personally. I would still vote the way I want and have the views that I want. I just wouldn't openly express them unless like it was in some sort of like autobiography or something like that. Use like back in the day, usually the only time you knew like people's like social political views as a public figure was when you read about them. It wasn't like they were stumping on the that like they weren't being shills for celebrities like all those celebrities did for Kamala Harris 2 years ago. Spent $1 billion on celebrities and still fucking lost. That ought to tell you something. People don't want to hear from fucking celebrities. If you got a if you got a war chest of over $1 billion, of which you spent half to have celebrities endorse your candidacy for president, and you still lose, that means people are tired of fucking hearing what celebrities think about politics. We don't give a shit. Half like you and your celebrity status, like Hollywood is faltering, and I mean, it's no secret why. When you've alienated half the country, regardless of what you think about that half of the country, whether you think they are a box of deplorables or whatnot, but when you alienate half the country, you are not going to have a you're going to have problems in your business endeavors. Like I don't like Hollywood is not going to be sustainable if half the country doesn't want to fuck with you anymore. Like the smartest celebrities just keep it moving and don't talk politics. And that's what I would do. Like I'm not saying they can't have strong views one way or the other, whether they are leftist views or right wing views or something in between. But most of the country is moderate, despite a vocal minority, you know, talking shit um, on both. Like you have vocal minorities both on the left and the right that seem to be as if they're the ones who are making waves in politics, but they are a minority. They're just very vocal, which is why they get attention. But most of the country is still moderate. Now, the left the problem is, well, the people on the left consider all moderates right winged, whereas people on the right, especially the far right, think moderates are liberals, and they're both wrong. Most of the country is moderate, and that's been the case for like decades. Now, yes, there has been a shift politically to the left in many cultural aspects of America, but in some respects, there has been a push back to the right after from this recent election, and that's only because since so much of Hollywood and academia has leaned towards the far left, that moderates that again, since most of the country is moderate, it pushed many of them to the right just because they were tired of what was going on and with the acceptance of many far leftist views in mainstream America, like the whole the LGBTQ agenda being pushed on mainstream Americans through public education. That that pissed off a lot of people, or trying to um, or the situation with again with the LGBTQ. when it comes to like public bathrooms. Like public bathrooms in America are already freaking uncomfortable because the engineers of these bathrooms thought it was a good idea to not section off these johns in men's bathrooms and in both female and male bathrooms to have the bottom of the bathroom door uh, left off so that people can see that there's someone in the bathroom. You don't need like instead of just doing like what other countries do when you close the door behind you, it says occupied. How fucking hard like these are fucking engineers and they couldn't think, oh, let's just make a bathroom door where when you close it, it says occupied. No, instead they leave a bathroom door where you can see between the cracks of the door. So you know how uncomfortable that is if you gotta go take a shit and people can look into the cracks between the door to see that you're sitting down on the toilet. Nobody wants to go through that shit. Literally no one wants to go through that shit. But yeah, this is why I don't know what millennials and you Gen Z did, but I know in my generation, I'm Gen X, we wouldn't go to the bathroom in school. We would literally wait until school was over to drop a deuce because no one wanted to be in a public bathroom where people could see you. And then you add that, then that's already uncomfortable enough. And then you add to the fact that you gotta have people of the opposite sex in the bathroom. That even makes it even worse. I don't care if the person wants to identify as a man or woman. Look, go in the bathroom where your genitals are, where it's your genitals. I don't care how you identify it. If this bathroom is for vaginas, you go into that one. If this bathroom is for penises, you go into that one. You know what? Like it just makes it increasingly uncomfortable. And I went to my alma mater for Maryland Day, and I used one of those bathrooms. Luckily, I think everyone in there was a guy, but they had fucking tampon. Like people keep joking about this, but this is actually true. And um what do you call it? No gender bathrooms or whatever. Like there are tampons at the bathroom sink. Um, and my school was rated one of the most LGBTQ friendly campuses in the country. They're proud of that. I consider that an embarrassment, but whatever. I as long as it makes my school higher ranked, I'm all for it. Now since my school is considered a public Ivy, fine. I'll take the hit. Pause. But yeah, so I went to one of these no gender bathrooms. Like I said, every one thing I did like though is that because everyone wanted their privacy, so they could pretend to be a girl or pretend to be a boy. um, all the stalls are private, so even the Johns are are behind the door because again you can still pretend to be a girl even though you have a dick if you can go into a bathroom where the Johns have a door behind them so people can't see, oh, this person is still standing, is this person still peeing with a dick even though he has long purple hair and shit. Oh, so controversial, right? Ozzy Baloo 466 says when I worked on the set of Tommy Boy, Chris Farley and I pooped in the bathroom at the same time. It was awesome. My favorite memory, but kind of weird to tell people about. Yeah, that's a little bit weird, a little bit. And I'm pretty sure Chris blew that joint out. Chris looks like someone who would blow the bathroom out. I'm pretty sure. And again, I wouldn't want to do my business in a public bathroom. The only time I've ever done so is when there was no other choice because I'm far away from home. So, uh, 7 VLW said facts. Home is more comfortable. Yes. Ozzy says when I'm on the job site, I have to do his business in buckets and then I leave them at gas stations for people to find. Ew, what? All right, now you getting that's weird, brother. Like you went somewhere completely left field. Like first, it was funny talking about meeting Chris Farley, but now you sound like you have a scat fetish. That's a little weird. Um, in any case, getting back to celebrities, like again, Chris Farley's a good example. I don't know what his politics was because he lived in a time where people didn't feel they had to talk about their political views as a public figure, as a celebrity. Um, Now, comedians, though, usually you will know their beliefs because they talk about their views in their stand up. If they're stand up comedians. Um, However, the the with a stand up comedian, they usually have a bit of panache with it. Like they can hold controversial political views, but still be funny. Like you have a lot of comedians who are very left wing, but you have some comedians who are very conservative as well. It doesn't matter as long as they're funny. The comedians who aren't funny are the ones who put their politics above the jokes. Those are the comedians that aren't funny. And that's both, again, on the left and the right. Political comedians aren't funny because their politics comes before the jokes. That's different from comedians who express political views in their comedy. Those aren't the same things. Like I said, political comedians put their politics above the jokes, and it's often not funny. Whereas, like I said, comedians who just openly express their political views through their comedy tend to be funny, even if you don't agree with their views. Like I'm sure people don't agree with stuff that Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock may think, but they're fucking funny. Although some people have gotten mad at like them because they've made fun of that of transgender people. I don't care. They're mentally ill, and I'm so tired. Like from 2015 to 22, from 2015 to 2022, that the whole country started like normalizing aberrant behavior, and now we we're starting to become more rational again and say no, this shit isn't normal. And just to say it wasn't normal was just that was just vitriolic. To even say that you didn't agree with their lifestyle was they would say is violence against them. Like they don't like these people never been punched in the face to try to say that if you disagree with them that's violence. Like no, you pansy ass fanuc. Like me disagreeing with something that you believe is not violence. That's not how violence works. And they was like, well, violence can be more than just physical. Then you're not talking about violence. Like violence is by definition physical. like now you just now you just you're playing language games. Like like we're gonna use two different uh uses of violence, but have them both co-referent to the term violence, even though we're using different meanings. or uses of them. No, like that was how they for like 8 years. That's how they used to get away with all this LGBTQ nonsense. Is to say if you disagree with any aspects of their lifestyle or the fact that many of the stuff that many of the things that they express with the terminology of the LGBTQ is illogical. Any of that was t- tantamount to either hate speech or violence. And I was like, first of all, it ain't hate speech unless you're being hateful about it. And I think a lot of hate speech laws are bullshit anyway. So, but that's a different topic. But the point being that calling it violence, I'm like, no, some of you've never been punched in the face, and it shows. But anyway, again, the celebrities of yesteryear seem to have, like I said, seem to have more of a aura about them. Like you think of Hollywood actors from even as recently as the 90s. I know the 90s isn't recent, but that's 30 years ago. But in, uh, once you get into the 2000s and 2010s, that's when um, I think that's when celebrities were too exposed to the public. Like, back in the day in like the 70s and 80s, there was this show called The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. That was usually the only time that you got to see celebrities flaunting their wealth, or you knew a lot of stuff about them. But now they just openly show you that stuff. There's no need for a show like The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous anymore, when the celebrities openly flaunt their wealth and success. They openly, like, they make themselves accessible 24/7 on Instagram, and they're sharing all their um all their opinions that no one asked for. And like I said, the Grammys was nothing but a whole thing of abolish ICE and fuck ICE and all this dumb stuff. Like, Bad Bunny is gonna be at the Super Bowl, I think, man. Y'all can have that little cross dressing Boricua. Cause no. He can't even fucking speak English and he wanna talk, like, shut up. And again, and for what it's worth, I have nothing against Puerto Ricans whatsoever, nor against speaking Spanish. I just don't like him. Like, he cross dresses and wants to sit. Like, I don't want anyone who's either a fucking drug addict or a sexual deviant trying to tell me what my political view should be. And that was the point of, again, of the creators of South Park, why they used to roast celebrities so much on South Park. Thanks for the subscription, NFL. Dash 3DITZ. Yeah, like Trey Stone and Matt Parker used to roast celebrities so bad. I'm like, why are they always roasting celebrities? And that's because they just found celebrities to be so smug, their political smugness, which is what woke stands for, like it's liberal smugness. That is being woke, right? And they used to detest it so much. So they used to make fun of people like J.Lo and Ben Affleck and uh, um, what's the guy who was the worst Batman? Um, I forgot. Anyway, yeah, and now I get it, because, like I said, around it started around the late '90s, early 2000s, when you start having celebrities with the rise of social media and these reality shows on TV and stuff. just overexposure of celebrities and them trying to tell people like how to think on social political views. Like, I mean, there's always been celebrities in Hollywood's past that did that, but it wasn't the majority of them. Like now, it's like virtually all of them. But back in the day, like I said, most Hollywood, like you talk about like the 80s and earlier, like from like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and 70s and the 80s, most of these celebrities had a level of detachment from the general public, which was for their own benefit and safety. And now there isn't. Like now you're like overexposed to your favorite celebrity. Like whoever your favorite celebrity is, you can probably track what they're doing all day long on on Instagram and on other social media platforms. Not only that, you'll have them on, and then the worst place for them to be given their unasked for opinions is on an award show. Like you're already rich and famous, and you're on an award show winning an award when your reward is already your fame and success. So you're also getting awards for it too. So it becomes very self-congrat. These award shows are very self-congratulating, where they're just like, "Oh, good for me, good for me. Look how successful I am. I made this great film. I just made this hit record and such and such." And like I I stopped watching award shows like 20 years ago because I just found them so fucking pathetic that like you gotta see celebrities sitting there congratulating each other on their success. Like why why do they think why should other people want to watch this outside of the industry? That is, like, if you're part of the industry, I get it, but outside of the industry and outside of people connected to them like friends and family, why should the general public want to see a bunch of people congratulating themselves on their own success? It's just it, there's something quite distasteful about that to me. And maybe it's just me, but there's something very distasteful about award shows, seeing a bunch of celebrities congratulate themselves on their own success. And it's like you have nothing to be complaining about, and that like you rich, famous, pampered, privileged motherfuckers are gonna come on here and act like the president is hurting your feelings when you're living like he's doing nothing to hurt you. Like Billie Eilish, stupid bitch ass. Like, fuck that bitch. That little dumbass, retarded white bitch. Yeah, I said it. Like, no one's illegal on stolen land. All right, well, how about you give back that $14 million mansion that you just bought to the fucking Youngva tribe, just on their stolen fucking land? How about that shit? Or how about you house some of these undocumented migrants in your fucking home? How about that shit? But you won't because it's it's what you want others to do, but you won't do it yourself. Talentless bitch. And Bad Bunny, you cross dressing Fanuc. Shut up. No one wants to hear what you got to say. Puerto Rico's barely part of America. Barely. It's a territory because you motherfuckers won't take a vote on becoming a state. If I were, shit, if I was president, I would just make it a state by fucking executive decision. Like, nah, we're not gonna wait for them to keep voting on this shit. Just make it a fucking state. They didn't. They didn't give the native Hawaiians a fucking vote when they stole that shit. At least Puerto Ricans are already Americans. Well, by You would think they would want to be a state so they could get all the full legal rights of being an American, which they don't currently get because they haven't achieved statehood. I bet you if American Samoa was given a choice, I bet you virtually all of them would say yes. Let's please make us a state. I bet you everyone in freaking American Samoa or the northern Mariana Islands would vote yes on statehood if they were given a chance. Probably Guam as well. U.S. Virgin Islands, I don't know, but like I said, all those little poor Pacific Island territories of America, I bet you they will vote lickety split on statehood. But yeah, I just seeing a bunch of people win awards and sit there complain and cry like someone like the president's done something personally to hurt them is just fucking offensive to people who are actually struggling day to day to see a bunch of fucking multi millionaires sitting there complaining and wailing and gnashing at the teeth as if anything the president's doing is hurting them. Like you're literally winning an award for something you've already been rewarded for with your success and fame, and yet you take the time to sit there and complain. This is why celebrities are insufferable. But I would like to hear from the chat room about it, um, because we're not going to talk any more about bathroom stuff or sports, unless well, we can talk about sports if it relates to celebrity status of the athletes, of course. But I mean, I'm not talking like stats and figures and games, stuff like that. But if you want to talk about your favorite athletes, I'm good with that. Now I'll give it a second because I know it's only like two people I see currently in the chat room. So um, I'll give it a few. If not, I'm gonna get off, give me something to eat, and go to bed. But I just had to go on that because I find celebrities completely insufferable nowadays. And unfortunately, even the older celebrities have started voicing their views. It was like, come on, you guys came up in a time when people in Hollywood were more detached from the general public. Why don't y'all keep that going? But no, unfortunately, the older Hollywood celebrities are mimicking the younger celebrities by being overexposed on Instagram and voicing their political opinions. Like you guys grew up in a time when that wasn't normalized in Hollywood. Why are you jumping on the bandwagon with these younger celebrities? Don't do what they do. Like no one needs to know your political views. Like on top of that, why don't don't you want to be a celebrity to everyone? Well, actually, some of them don't. Some of them don't want to be a celebrity to everyone. They only want to be a celebrity to people who share their views. And I'm like, that's only half the country at best, depending on what your views are. Only half the country is going to share your views. So you want to alienate half of your half of your potential fan base because you think you have to talk up about politics, something of which you are not qualified to do whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, these people in these award shows should just grab their award, say thank you, and shut the fuck up and keep it moving. No one asked you to come to these award ceremonies, get an award, and then spend the next 5 minutes telling everyone why you think the president is evil or whatever you got to say. And this goes for both sides because I don't want you to just think I'm shitting on the left, even though it's the left is the most insufferable at this moment doing that. But I would say the same thing about right wing people. If the shoes were on the other foot and it was currently some left leaning president and left leaning Congress running the country, and a bunch of right wing and conservative people wanted to come up to these award ceremonies and give some soliloquy as well, I wouldn't welcome that either because, again, just keep your fucking politics to yourself as a celebrity. Unless your celebrity status is in is part and parcel of your political identity, as it is with, like, again, like some content creators, then you don't need to talk about that stuff. But anyways, I see no one really in the chat room. I'm gonna bounce. Um, I'll give it a few seconds if someone wants to share celebrity stuff, normal stuff, not like that retarded shit that Ozzy gave us. Like that was just some retarded shit. Dude went from talking about sharing the bathroom with Chris Farley to you know he relieving himself and leaving the waste for other people to find. That is grotesque, and I'm uh, I'm almost I'm I'm almost like wishing that I didn't uh, let him go on about that. But anyway, that's it. Um, I was going I was going to drag this on longer if it merited, but it really doesn't since there's no conversation here. So see you folks. For people watching this on replay, um, you can keep the conversation going about celebrities and your thoughts on that in the comment section if you like. Like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate it. I was trying to get to 10,000 by the end of last year, but we're gonna get that this year. All right, take it easy.